Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 80 of the Talking with a Dad podcast this evening. It's a catch-up show. We missed you guys. You know, we're here. We're glad everyone's safe. I hope everyone has some popcorn and some drinks right now because it's about to get spicy.
Yeah, strap on.
No, strap in. Strap in.
Strap in. And stay on it. We're going deep. I'm not gonna do the whole how you doing thing. We already did that. Everyone knows we do the live stream before this, and I can't talk about food, you know.
Right, or we'll lose the Mantis viewership immediately.
Shout out to RM Spicy Popcorn. Got it. How's everyone doing out in this cyberpunk world, man? I'm not jumping right into the topic.
Oh, man, wow. I'm not sure. Everyone seems to be blocked up.
It's getting strange out there, man. It's getting real strange.
Man, we're gonna have a few I told you so moments this evening.
Okay. Well, what do you want to start?
Not specifically I told you so, but like in general. First of all, we missed last week. We apologize.
Yes.
It's gonna happen from time to time for various reasons. It's listen, I don't mean to put it like this, but it's hard without a monetary backing to force ourselves to do a show when we think it's not gonna be the show that we want to put on, right? Mm-hmm. You know, so at this moment we have like what do they call it? Creative justice, and right. We can decide when or when not. Yeah, whatever. You know, creative fucking mojo. We can decide when not to do one of these, and we try to do it twice a week. Actually, very consistently doing it twice a week, but sometimes there'll need to be some breaks, and this week we needed it. So.
Health reasons and creativity reasons. It happens from time to time. And now once we start getting producers and stuff like that.
Once money's involved, listen, if you even think about missing a show, Steve, I'm gonna send my team over there to deal with your team. Okay.
I want you to know that everyone I kill on your team, when they come
they're expendable. Do you think I don't have 37 more of those idiots lined up?
Man, I've been reading comics again lately, man. That's another thing I got back into.
Okay.
Digital comics, man.
So you've been reading websites. Got it.
No. I have Marvel Unlimited on my phone, the actual subscription. It's very cheap. It's like $1. It's $1. And I've been reading through some old Thor comic books. Absolutely amazing, man. I cannot understand why people don't let their kids read more comics. If you want to increase their vocabulary, you want them to get into some type of literary expression.
Yeah, read English literature. Oh, sorry.
Read English literature. No one's reading. No one. Listen. You give a kid a Poe book nowadays, his head will explode.
Just give him Lord of the Rings, dude, and just let him fucking lose themselves.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe I was forced to read, not forced, but we read the Iliad in the 3rd grade. Now thinking back.
Yeah, you said the 3rd grade. I read it in like 9th grade or something.
No, that can't be true. You probably read it earlier than that.
No, we didn't even read the full Iliad. We only read the Odyssey passage, right? Because the Iliad is like the bunch of short stories, right? Like the full thing of short stories. Am I correct on that?
The Iliad takes place before Odyssey. Iliad is when they all take off to reclaim the Trojan.
Yeah, never read it. Just the Odyssey. I think it was your 9th or 10th grade. Yeah.
The Odyssey is a much easier, not easier. It's a much more enjoyable read.
Very good.
Very good. Actually, you're right about Lord of the Rings, though. I've known people who've read the Iliad and the Odyssey and have tried to read Lord of the Rings and they can't make it through the first book. Not because they're not interested, but because Tolkien has a style of writing that's very, very dense.
It's very dense. It's very dense, right? Tolkien will spend 3 pages describing the way the grass looks, right? And George R.R. Martin's the exact opposite. Don't give a fuck about the grass, but the feasts in the Game of Thrones books, he will spend chapters describing the way that the gravy looks.
Yes.
For obvious reasons.
And also how many times the woman was stabbed.
Correct.
A lot of time.
Correct. 14 to 15 stabbings. All right, we're back after technical difficulties. Let's get into our first topic. Dude, just pick one. I have so many topics here that I think are good. You hit me with a topic and we'll go after it.
I would say let's kick it off with the WoW stuff, man.
You want to kick it off immediately with the WoW stuff? Okay.
Yeah.
So raiding this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Initially, it was only supposed to be Saturday. 7:30 West Coast time. So it was 10:30. Started at 10:30 here, very late. But that's what happens when you join a West Coast server for population reasons. Yeah, it was, dude. It's a good experience. It's no. So the server that I was on previously, you didn't get what I meant there. Had 600 Horde players on. I'm a Horde player, right?
Mhm.
So I switched to a server that had 16,000 Horde players on it. It was very hard for me to do anything. I couldn't fucking run dungeons. I couldn't find like people to play with because it was 600 people to play with. You know, that was the people who logged in once a week, right? So how many on concurrent at the same time? Like 15 probably. So switch servers, went West Coast. A lot of people on it. Makes everything a little bit easier. Raiding experience is a fantastic time. I had never done it before. First time. This is a very difficult raid, especially because it's only the first week and they haven't had a chance to like fix anything or make the bosses more palatable for the average player, which is okay. We were able to kill probably half the bosses in that raid if we had taken a different route and had maybe a little bit better of a group on the second day. But get 3 bosses down in the first day for a team that had never raided together before in a brand new raid. And for me, a first time raiding ever, I think is very good. In my opinion, it's very good. Now, second day was a different story. We tried for 3 hours, couldn't kill a single boss. So the way that the rating works is that everything resets on Tuesday. So the 3 bosses that we had killed on Saturday were already dead, right? So you walk through and you're going on to the next stuff, and we couldn't get anything done. Unfortunately, the cat just disappeared. So I mean, listen, it happens, right? It happens. But after the raid is where I start having issues with my current guild, and the fact that they're talking about that they don't even want to do the raids. They're like, oh, I don't even want to raid. Like this is some of the conversations that we had after. And they're like, I don't even want to do this. I just want to do the PvP. I'm just doing this to get gear to PvP. And I like the guys. We had a really good time. It was fun. Right. I thought it was a really fun environment to raid in. Everyone seemed really cool. There was a very angry Frenchman in there somewhere. He was, I don't know if you heard him on the stream. He was very angry. But
did he say suck their boo?
No, no, but he like something would happen in like they were like, oh, like you gotta avoid the bubbles. He's like, baboos, and I'm like, oh my god, who's the angry Frenchman? I couldn't tell if he was French Canadian or if he was actually French. Yeah, really, I just
George St. Pierre.
It was actually GSP.
Post-retirement.
Yeah, it was fun. Unfortunately, I have to leave him though. I have to find a guild that's gonna take raiding a little bit more seriously.
So wait for the uninitiated, because there are some people. Go check out the stream. I'm sure you can still see the recap up there.
VODs are up.
But for the uninitiated, let's explain. Let's go through it systematically, because it was actually pretty interesting. So when I tuned in, you were just kind of like running around doing stuff, waiting for everything to start, doing the countdown, chopping it up with people in chat. And then we got into the actual raid. What was the name of the dungeon you guys were raiding? Because that was the first thing that stood out to me. It had a very distinct name.
It's so the raids are a little bit different than dungeons. It's much bigger. It's just a very, very large dungeon. It's called Castle Nathria. Nice. It fits within the lore of Shadowlands. It's the main area within Revendreth, which is one of the areas in Shadowlands, which is kind of like the main bad for that area. So that's where it was. First boss is Shriekwing. Shriekwing is a fairly simple boss. The only real mechanic that he has is that he'll do a scream every once in a while, and you just have to get out of his line of sight, right? And there's pillars in the middle of the room for that to happen, right? It's a fairly simple fight. But yeah, that's kind of where we were.
It's funny because when you guys first started off with the dragon, just watching you guys figure out what was going on, I assumed the blood was hurting you, and that was one of the huge obstacles. And then what were those white circles on the ground?
So that was another phase of the fight where it's just like throwing things at you for you to avoid. He goes into an invulnerable phase where you have to avoid those or you get horrified, and something from the sky jumps down on top of you and deals damage to you and people around you. Yeah, so the issue was that there was a solid hour of feeling out the fight, feeling out how everyone else plays, where positioning was, and getting that correct. Because again, those guys are all PvPers, right? Like I have nothing against any of the guys in the guild. They like just like to kill each other, right? And that's fine. Like there's pretty much two styles of play there. So mechanically, it's very like they're very good at putting out damage. But the getting things regimented to where you need to be in the raid during certain times was a little lacking. And listen, I was having the same issues, right? I have first time ever raiding, so I have no idea what's going on. I only studied the first two or three fights, like the only first two fights actually, I think. So I knew that fight and I knew what I had to do, but where people were leaving some of the stuff that got dropped under you made it really difficult, especially for a mage, right? I'm a mage. I have the least health, the least damage mitigation of any class in the game. So any damage that I take, someone else would take significantly less damage from that. So that's kind of makes it harder on me. And plus, only having one thing to attack for a frost mage, I do like next. I might as well just be standing there watching, clapping. Right? I do very, very little damage, and that's an issue.
You're like, way to go, guys.
Yeah, very much. I'm like, hey, everyone's doing good.
Dude, who were the two guys that I love that you left the audio up.
Yeah, I wanted to be like, I wanted everything like that I was doing to be like in the stream, right? I left the comms up. So like with raiding, you have to have a raid leader, the guy who would like, all right, this is how this fight works. I need people here, I need people there, and like they'll call out things like beams are coming up, right? So beams are coming up. All right, everyone has to break line of sight, or everyone has to get to this spot, and that's where those were the guys that were talking.
Oh, okay.
Those were the guys who were trying to lead the fight. To be fair, our leadership could have used a little bit of extra prep. I don't think this was put together very last minute. But even with that, I think still killing 3 bosses with that was very good.
Yeah, no, I mean, so it took what, 2 attempts to kill the dragon, and you guys
No,
got him
I think
third.
4. So I think we died 3 times to him, and on the 4th attempt we got him.
Okay. Yeah, because when I seen him go down, I was like, perfect.
It was a good. It was listen. What like, and that's the thing with like, so it's called progression raiding, right? Yeah. It's like you're constantly progressing through the raid, progressing through the fights, and that's what we were doing, right? We were making good progression. First attempt we got him to like 60%, right? The second attempt we got him to 45%, right? And we kept getting better at the fight.
I gotta tell you, there was one point where you guys, I think it might have been the actual successful attempt taking the dragon down, where you were all lined up hitting him at the same time, and I kept hearing hut 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 hut, hut in my head because you guys kept moving. It was very succinct. Like you finally gotten the rhythm down, and you guys were all moving through those non-damaging areas and just murking that poor dragon. Now, when you guys moved into the second one, this is where it started to get a little fuzzy. This is also because of another topic we're going to talk about later. I noticed that like you were fighting a guy with hellhounds of some sort. You seem to be a little frustrated with your guild at this point because it seemed like they were like abandoning reason or the strategy. I got to be honest with you, I couldn't understand all the jargon, but I was picking up some English words in there.
So basically with that fight is actually it's a lot of fun. It's a really, really well designed fight. So you're fighting a huntsman who has 3 different pets. And so they like the pets have linked health, but that doesn't like the pets have linked health with the actual boss. It doesn't matter though. So pet number 1 is basically you just do a shitload of damage to him, right? You need to burn him down really quick to progress with the fight. The second fight, or the second pet that comes out is a little bit different because you have to pull him away from the boss, right? So the boss is on one side of the room, you have the pet on the other, and occasionally he'll spawn a shade of himself that does a stacking damage. So the shade can be like crowd controlled, right? So CC'd. So as a mage, I'm the only mage in the group, which I thought was strange. I figured there would have been at least 1 or 2 more. I have to then solely focus on keeping that shade locked down, polymorphed into a shape, like stunned, interrupted, like that. I was doing that. And what was happening is when he would spawn the shade, someone was applying a damage over time to him. So for 10 seconds, every second he's taking damage, and that breaks the crowd control. So that's where it started to get a little bit frustrating. But that was like a fairly easy mistake that we got for the last attempt. We just burned through it. Once we get through that phase, like the rest of the fight's really, really easy.
Right.
It's just making sure that. So to be fair, he spawns multiple of them. Every 45 seconds or so, he spawns another one. So before the second one comes up, you have to kill the first one. And again, first time raiding, I knew that, but I didn't expect to be having to be the person that made the call, right? Okay. So and so I use push to mute when I'm in a call like that instead of push to talk, because I have mouse button binds for in game. So I had to like hand off a mouse up to my numpad / on mute and be like, all right, shade kill, right? And then mute and then go back. So it was strange, but yeah, I mean, we got it. It was a few attempts, but we got the fight. So that's kind of what's important there.
Yeah, the in-game jargon for WoW is way more intense. I remember I used to have a hard time understanding what people were saying when they were playing COD or other games. You guys were literally speaking Klingon at one point, but I knew there was something beautiful happening because there were things happening on the screen, and I saw numbers raising and then lowering. And I'm like, all right, so they're obviously dealing a great deal of damage.
Yeah.
At one point, you guys all dispersed and went this way and then came back around. It was like watching little wartime ants. And
yeah.
I will say this: before you actually got into the stream, just watching you get ready for this stuff, I have said some mean things about WoW in the past that I need to take back. I don't know if it's because of this later game, but actually the graphics, the rendering for when you were flying around on that horse or whatever that thing was that was flying around, that stuff looked really amazing. Like at one point I was like, wow, this looks really good. I mean, it's obviously
the new zones look very good. So like the Battle for Azeroth and the Shadowland stuff is very, very good, but it's modern, right? You got to remember the game spans 16 years.
I know.
Right. So the beginning of the game is 16 years old. They updated the graphics 8 or 10 years ago. But again, they updated the graphics 8 or 10 years ago. Right. Yeah, like you got to imagine where we've come since then. That's what PS3 territory, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, so there's a wide variety of stuff that's going on within the game, from classic to Shadowlands. So there's a little bit for everybody. Once you get into like the Mist of Pandaria stuff, that's where it starts getting very, very good looking.
So there was a topic you were going to bring up if we actually did the show. So apparently the WoW numbers are really good. You put this on our last topic list. How good, like the memberships, or you said memberships were up online?
World of Warcraft Shadowlands is the fastest selling PC game of all time. Like 3.8 million copies sold in the first X amount of hours. I saw it. I read the article, but this was last week. I don't remember what it was. Okay. I could look it up.
That's insane. What was the previous game that sold? Don't say Grand Theft Auto.
I would assume that it was Grand Theft Auto.
I wonder how many copies. We'll talk about that later. They're coming up in the next topic here. I wonder how many, but I do wonder when we get to our next topic, because if that's true and it's a membership game, that blows my mind. I mean, it shouldn't blow my mind because that many people still love WoW and they've been playing forever. But what's different about this version versus previous? What's the correct word I'm looking for? I don't want to say
expansion.
Expansion. Yeah.
Okay, so Cyberpunk passed it. Cyberpunk sold 4.7 million copies in the first 24 hours.
And those will all be refunded.
No, not the PC version. Not the PC version. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, man, Shadowlands is very good so far. I'm looking for a new guild, which sucks because I really like those guys. They were fun to play with. I want to take raiding a little bit more seriously. I want to get through the entire raid, right? And right. I feel like with that team, we might not have been able to. Also, in other news, it's within WoW. So they Wowhead is like one of the websites, Icy Vein and Wowhead are like the two like main WoW websites. So they come out, they have an API that goes and pulls all the information for everyone who's done the raid. And Frostmage, which is what I play, is like the bottom 4 in damage dealt within the entire raid. It is so brutally bad. It is insane. It is absolutely insane. And here I am within my raid group. I was sitting at number 4 for total damage dealt.
Yeah, you got number 2 in one of them. Was it the first boss or the second
No, the
boss?
first boss I got like last. The first boss I almost got kicked out because I was doing so bad.
Really?
Because, yeah, but it's a single target fight, right? I like Frostbase. I do not do anything single target. No, it was probably the last boss or something that we attempted that night. But yeah, I was. There's a few times where I was up towards the top for sure.
Wait, when you say you almost got kicked out, like, you get hit with a side message, like, "Hey, man, pull your weight or you're
No,
gone,"
but
type
they were
shit?
like, hey, there's some people in here not dealing great amount of damage, and if we can't get past this boss because of that, we're gonna have to trim the fat a little bit. Is essentially what they said. And when someone said that, 3 people immediately left, and I'm like, safe. Safe, and they all had done more damage than me. There was like a warlock that was like, you know what, fuck this, I'm not dealing with it, I'm out. Here's me, and I'm sitting there like,
So how does one find a guild? What's that process like?
dude, it's kind of hard, right? Like, if you know people, it's pretty easy, I guess. If you know people who are on the same server, who have the same interests, then you could do that. But like, there's a guild finder in the game, which seems to be unreliable. People advertise guilds in like trade chat, but you kind of don't want to get scammed into one of them because they seem like they're unreliable most of the time. So yeah, there's a few different ways. Forums, you can go into the forums and find guilds, but
Yeah, all right. I was wondering that. I was like, how did he meet these people? Like,
just trying to do it. I had a friend who was like, hey, I'm joining this guild to raid, and I was like, down, like, get me invited. So
anything else going on in the wonderful world of WoW that you want to update us on, man? Anything
you
else
really missed out on a great joke there. You said in the wonderful world of WoW instead of saying in the wonderful world of Warcraft.
Oh man, I did.
What?
Damn it!
You really are sick.
Yeah, I mean, mentally, yes. Physically,
you're fine.
Physically, I'm doing much better. The one thing, there was another thing though, but it's a rare sight, man. To actually see you having fun doing something. You gotta remember, I'm used to angry gamers, Zach, where it's like, God,
that's not true.
Steve, aim for the head. I'm like, I thought I was aiming for the head.
I thought the head's center mass, right? That's what they put the head in this game.
So it's really a toss up in between which games seem to bring you the most enjoyment. I'm really like, if I was a spectator on your life, man, or the commentator, it definitely RuneScape or World of Warcraft. I'm stuck. I don't know which one actually, but there's
long term, it's RuneScape.
Long term,
yeah, for sure. I've played the game for 15 years, right? Like, on and off, to be fair, but I've played the game for 15 years, and I enjoy the game, and I plan on playing it again when they have a pretty big update coming out, like in next year at some point.
Oh yeah, what are they changing?
They're adding an achievement list that provides some bonuses for bossing. So I'm gonna be doing that.
Okay. Don't get mad at me, man. That's why you should play RuneScape, Steve.
Exactly. Exactly.
I listen. You guys carry me in so many other situations. Why add another one to your plate, man? At this point, why do that to you dudes, man? Anything else on the World of Warcraft?
No, but hey, anyone listening to this has a horde guild on the server Tichondrius, let me know. I'm the best frost mage on the server.
When are you streaming again so we can let the people get in?
Whenever I raid again. That's it.
Okay.
So whenever I find a guild that has some raids and I can get a secured spot, then that's when.
So Zach's streams are officially like unicorns. You don't want to scare them off. You just gotta bait them out a little bit.
Listen, I only want to stream. I only want to stream when I'm doing something fun, and that's pretty much it, right? So if I'm raiding, that's kind of what I want to do. Like, I'm not going to stream Mythic Plus dungeons, which are fucking boring, which are just dungeon running and over and over. I'm not going to stream just screwing around doing world quest or leveling. Like, if I'm raiding, I'll do it because I think it's interesting, and it's neat to keep a log of it so I could look back and see if there was some stuff I can improve on, and also keep track of how much gold I'm spending to fucking do the raids, and that's an interesting little fun pastime I'm having as well.
Yeah. You vaguely, for a brief second, I heard you tell Cash on the stream. You were like, "Yeah, I spent some money.
I spent 30,000 in-game gold just in preparation for it, between consumables and getting my legendary crafted." And then I don't know. I have a tally from how much I spent just yesterday repairing my gear after dying so many times. I haven't gone back into the Saturday stream and find out how much I'd spent there too. So
Gambling. That's what you need to do, buddy.
start death
in-game
rolling.
gambling.
Just start death rolling, dude.
Just so I can see, just so I can see you slowly chase someone trying to get away from trying to pay their debt. Man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Oh, so hold on. There is a little bit more news. Mythic Dungeon opens up tomorrow. Actually, I'm not going to be involved in the race to world first, but I am going to be watching. Because Mythic, like we were doing it on normal, right? Normal is the easiest of difficulties that you could do with a guild. There was looking for raid, but that's a little bit different. Then it goes up to heroic, right? If we would have finished, if on Saturday night, if we would have finished, we would have probably stepped into heroic on Sunday. But then there's mythic. Mythic adds more mechanics, adds more trash throughout the stuff. Like the bosses are significantly harder, have, you know, significant more health. Like that's opening up tomorrow. And there is a race to world first to finish it. And I think the last one took 27 days. So
tune in for all that stuff, man.
Listen, I'm going to be super excited to watch on day 1 and day 2 and day 3. But once we hit like the first reset, right? So every Tuesday it resets. So if you were 7 out of 10 bosses on Monday night, Tuesday morning comes around, you have to kill all 7 of those bosses again, right? To get back to where you were. And that's why the race to world first is so hard, because you have to do the entire thing in a span of a week. But if you only get 6 out of 10 killed and it resets, then you're now on that again, right? So like obviously first boss gets easier as you do it, because you know exactly where you need to be. But that's coming up. So I'm super excited to watch that. It starts tomorrow.
It starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
So thus far you're not disappointed in this expansion at all. You're having a time.
Listen, I'm having a great time. Yeah, I'm having an absolute great time. Raiding is very fun. It's addicting. Like I that's what I want to be doing, and that's why I'm sad that I have to leave the guild. Like, but yeah, that's what I want to be doing. Like at least 5 nights a week.
So a new expansion came out for a game. It was released on time. Consumers are enjoying it. Sounds dangerous.
Now, most people are enjoying it. Some people are having issues. Some people don't like it, don't like the covenant system, don't like this, don't like that. So there are people who have, you know, negative things to say about the game. But personally, you know, I'm not sure. I don't look for reviews and opinions and shit online. But I have heard some people who are not happy with it. But for me, it has been very, very fun. So that's what counts to me, right? That's all I care about. I don't give a fuck about everyone else.
How many thumbs they gave it up?
Yeah, exactly. My thumb is up, and that's what matters.
Up my way. So speaking of So speaking of things that people have been having a great time with, having the experience with, and I'm all about the experience, man. I go to fast food restaurants, and that's what I'm there for. I'm there for the ambiance, right? I go into Wendy's.
See, that's exactly what I don't want.
I go in, I want to see the homeless person come out of the bathroom, the heroin addict that's staring at me through the window. I'm there for the experience everywhere I go. I'll tell you what I'm not there for, man. I am not there for the Cyberbug experience, man.
No.
I look, I don't have any hate towards this game, man, right? I don't have any vested interest in it. I mean, yeah, shout out to the brother who released the game, Person of Color. Apparently this is a huge deal. I didn't know that. I didn't know this. I don't know how this piece of history missed me. First African American to be head developer or to come up with the concept for the game, or
no idea.
Like
I saw someone comment that in one of our videos. I think the story that it's based on is where that comes from. CD Projekt Red, I think, is a Swedish company. I think all the developers are pretty Swedish. I'm not sure of what
I will say the blurred community. Remember, I referenced them when EK came on.
Sure.
The whole they're on fire. Now,
sure.
I'm in a blurred group on Facebook that's like 10,000 people deep, and that's
too many people.
It's too many people. The notifications are definitely off for that group. I chime in every once in a while to start trouble, but people were genuinely pumped up for this game. Now, Linus did his review, not his review. He played the game, and he was just doing his Linus thing where he wants to see what it's like to play the game balls to walls, right? So he started off with 3080, then he moved up to the 3090. First thing in his video, something weird happens in the video, right? He's just walking around looking at the textures, pointing stuff out. It was very redundant. And he's just showing you like, oh, this looks good here. This is taking a little while to load. And then someone just jumps off the top of a roof. and falls right through the ground and disappears. Like, and that
Yeah.
happened in
So
the video.
there
Go ahead.
are people who in the game they really attempted to make the what is it called, Night City, feel alive. Listen, I haven't played the game yet, and I'm sticking to my guns on this. I said that this is a very much so and I told you so moment, that if
Right.
the game has been delayed as many times as it has, it's going to come out with a lot of issues, and that's been pretty clear so far. They try to make the city feel alive, so randomly NPCs will just jump off of buildings and commit suicide, and that's what happened. But they just phased through the ground, right?
Yeah,
Like there are
it's
some things
amazing.
going on, but from what I've heard from a lot of people, speaking on the NPCs here, is that like Red Dead Redemption, for an example, every
Yeah.
one of the NPCs is unique. You could walk by, it has voice lines. Grand Theft Auto does this really well too. If you walk around the city of Grand Theft Auto, there's just random fucking voice lines coming at you all the time, and it feels
Yeah.
unique, even though they're not. Cyberpunk, none of the NPCs really interact. Everything seems to be pretty generic. The game is unpolished, and that's the state where we're at. It's 80% finished.
Okay. So let's go through it succinctly, right? PC players.
Sure.
So now I haven't heard anyone playing with a 3080 or 3090, and anyone that has that luxury, if you can afford that card, I doubt that you're going to have any issues playing any games, because you probably have a processor to match it. There are some people who've come out, they've got the 3080, but maybe they got an older Ryzen chipset. They've been CPU bound, so they've been having some issues. They're in the minority, right? One gentleman I watched, I was reading on Reddit, he has a 3070. I don't know how he got his hands on that. I think that's pretty unfair, but he has it, and he was reporting that he's having all types of issues.
Yeah.
But then when he was pressed on Reddit, like, hey, are you having any other computer issues? And he was like, well, now that you mention it, like, so it could have been attributed to that. It sounded like more.
It's a driver. It sounds like it's a driver issue generally, I think. But here's the issue: the issues that people are having with hardware isn't across the board, right?
Right.
Shane's playing fine in a 2070, but I've also heard people with 2080s having issues, right? I know of a content creator who has a 2080 Ti that was having frame rate issues, right? Like like I've heard also with people with a 1070 running it on high with like 90 plus frames per second, right? Like it's all over the place. So the optimization is really, really poor. It's not working on a wide variety of machines. That's why it's hard to optimize for PC. Generally, you try to optimize for a midpoint. And I'm not sure where that midpoint was that they had to optimize for, whether they did it for the 20 something series and had banked on the fact that the 3000 series would be readily available by now. But this is also a game that's been in development for 8 years. Right.
Yeah,
so I'm sure that they've gone through a number of iterations of optimization that have absolutely killed any performance that you could have gotten on weird setups.
So interesting thing, some Ryzen players in the positive for Cyberpunk have reported so apparently there's been some type of CPU boost. Like they've been able to their CPU has been handling it a little bit better than Intel. They are also in the minority, but somehow this made its rounds around YouTube. And I love when this happens with the algorithm, where it's like one person says something and then a whole slew of videos come out.
Yeah.
And so now after 2 hours of making my way back to see if I can find the source, it's like a few people have experienced this positive thing. Now, I've talked to a few people playing it on PS5. When I say a few, I mean a very few, like
3.
4. One more than that. And they have all said that they're having a pretty smooth, buttery experience. Everyone I talked to is playing on the new Xbox. There's a couple of people reported some issues, but they said that it had to do more with the game crashing due to like lack of space. Once they deleted a few games, surprisingly enough, the game, and they reinstalled it, game worked perfectly fine. Now, the people who are having the most fun are apparently the people playing on PlayStation 4. And here's the thing. I just want to report this one thing to you guys, because this is how rare it is. Sony has the most strict refund policy when it comes to games. If the game leaves the if it leaves the Sony store and you actually click download, once it makes its way on your hard drive,
lost your privileges.
You're not getting a refund. Everyone supposedly gets one courtesy like a refund, but some people have been getting refunds based off of the glitches they're experiencing on PlayStation 4. When I say some people, again, tracking down the source on this story, it turns out it's like a handful of people reported that Sony had issued them the refund based on the issues they were experiencing. Zach, you saw it as much as I did. I'm sure it's taking 20 to 30 seconds for
textures to load in.
Yeah.
Right. Like people will walk up to you to continue a storyline, and it's 30 seconds of waiting for that character model to be grabbed in from somewhere. Now, I'm fairly convinced that the issue is entirely hard drive speed related. I'm curious. Right. I'm not going to buy the game until all of the issues are fixed, and then I probably will play. I might even wait for multiplayer at this point, to be fair. I'm curious because I have the ability to do testing on 3 different speed hard drives, right? I have a 5600 RPM drive, I have a 7200 RPM drive, and I have at least 1 SSD. I might have 2. Like I have the different hard drive speeds. So I'm curious. I would love to like play it on the 5600 and see how it is on a very modern PC, other than my graphics card, but that again, fine. And then put it on the SSD and see what the differences are. And because that would confirm or not, you know, my suspicion that it's all hard drive speed based is where these texture issues are coming from.
So you don't think it has anything to do with the lackluster GPU, quote unquote, and the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox?
That's going to make it look worse. But look at a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 that you could play on the PlayStation 4 that is, in my opinion, graphically better looking than Cyberpunk. Listen, Cyberpunk's a very, very good looking game, but I still think Red Dead Redemption is a better looking game.
They did a really good job with character design in this game. In Cyberpunk. I'm not saying
they do a lot of things very, very well. But if you look at the like graphics, Red Dead versus Cyberpunk, I think Red Dead wins. And I think Red Dead is probably the best looking game on the market at the moment.
Game is huge.
Enormous. Both games are.
So I mean, I guess the only person I could really ask about this, I can ask my buddy to PlayStation 5, but he's so hard. I literally hit this kid up and I'm like, hey man, can you just tell me your experience a little bit that you're having with the game? And he's like, it's great. I'm like, come on, man, can you give me a little bit more? No issues. I'm really stuck in the game right now. Please hit me up later. And I'm like, wow, is it that immersive? Now, that's one thing people are really talking about is people are really pulling themselves off their couch and saying that the ones who are having the playable experience, I apologize to you, to those of you who are not having a playable experience, but people are really immersed in the game. Like they're blown away by it. I still don't know if I understand what the game is or what it's about, but that's okay. I'm old. I don't
know how many times I have to tell you this. Stop trying to understand what a game is about, right? Essentially what it is Night City is like your last stop before your fucking body before your soul leaves your body. Right. That's pretty much what it is. Right. Okay. And I've watched a good deal of it. I don't think that really spoils anything, but you know, everyone's getting cybernetic upgrades and shit. And like, that's pretty much it. The game, I know Shane thinks the prologue, which is about 4 hours long, feels pretty linear. I've heard a number of people say that because there's like different ways to play the game, that the choices that they make don't really affect the way that the game plays. So that, you know, listen, they tell a very good story. I've seen the very, very beginning of the story and I've seen the very, very end of it. So I have no fucking idea what happens in the middle. Because I watched Landmark play the beginning and Reggie respectively play the beginning. And then I watched Shroud play the last mission. Right, because I just tuned in 2 days later. Like, oh, Shroud's playing Cyberpunk. It is a Cyberpunk final day. And I'm like, click, right? So I just watched the end of it. But even then, like, his experience at the end of it on PC, very modern PC, right? He is having issues. One of the characters that he needed to talk to just bugged and he couldn't talk to him. Speaking to a guy, the guy has a cigarette in his hand and would move it, and then that cigarette would just be in that same spot. So then now there's 5 cigarettes floating in front of him. Like a lot of like really weird like graphical errors that are polished, right? They needed in November to say, hey, we need to delay this game 12 months, right? Instead of pushing it back a month and then forcing it. They're like, we need another year to do this because that's exactly what they needed. That last 80%, the last 10%, 20% of a game is 100% the hardest part of doing anything in the game. So
you're not the only person that said that. Rich from Review Tech said the exact same thing. He was like, they had the opportunity with a game that's been in development for almost double-digit amount of time.
Yeah, 8 years.
they could have just taken the next year or so
It's just
to get
or
it where
6
it
months.
needed.
Give me 6 months, right? Like and get the game to 100% of where we expected it to be. I think it lived up to a lot of people's expectations.
Yes.
I think the story told within the game is probably very, very good. The similar with The Witcher, right? The Witcher tells a very, very good story, and these are the same people. I just think that some of the issues are so bad that you can't overlook them, right? The graphical issues on the older consoles, which they did release the game on, right? So you have to pay attention to that. The deceit, I think, is a big issue, right? So they didn't show any footage or any information from the old consoles, and I think that's a little bit misrepresentative when you're releasing a game on 3 different platforms, essentially, right? PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, PlayStation 5 and Xbox One Series X. I fuck if I remember what it's called, man. And PC, right? I feel like you need to represent how your game is going to be on all platforms, and they specifically needed, or they did not show what it would look like on the last gen consoles. So, I feel like that's an issue, and I feel like that they broke a lot of people's trust. I don't think that we have doubt in them as a game developer. I feel like it's a little shady of them to have released the game in the state that it's in.
Yeah, but Shane said this pretty well in the chat right now, man. It is something that we've kind of let happen as consumers in
I
our
agree.
need to consume these things, and they got you about it. They got you to rock in a hard place, right? You're waiting to play this game. RM, the person that commented on our the last time we talked about this, she is someone who's been waiting patiently to play this game, and to do that to someone, to do that to your consumers who've been waiting. I wouldn't be surprised if people didn't come back, but I'm not surprised when people stay, because it's like, where else are you going to go? What else are you going to do? What other company isn't doing the exact same thing when it comes to releasing a game? Who isn't releasing bug glitchy games nowadays?
It's where we want as a consumer, and no one will speak with their wallet on this, and that's essentially what you need to do. If this game had gotten 0 pre-orders after the third delay, and everyone's like, listen, man, we don't want to deal with the delays. You figure your game development time out. It's been in development for 8 years. If you need to keep delaying it, it clearly needs to be in development for another year or two. Like, we're not pre-ordering it. Fucking good luck, right? Release it when you release it. No Man's Sky was a very similar thing where they had promised all of this stuff and didn't come through with 80% of it, even 50% of it probably. It's true. We need to stop accepting games that aren't complete. We need to stop pushing for developers to push games out, right after they release. And Rockstar is doing this 100% correct, where they're not saying a single thing about Grand Theft Auto 6. They're not saying a single thing. Bethesda's doing a very good job. The next Elder Scrolls game, they just said at E3 15 years ago, I don't even know what it was now, probably 2, Elder Scrolls 6, right? And then that's what they left it at. They didn't give it a name. They didn't give it a running title. They didn't give us fucking graphics, a setting. They didn't give us anything. They gave us, hey, it's in development, right? Like, that's
we'll
it.
Get it to you when we
I'm sure the next Fallout game is the same way. There is a Fallout game in development. Everyone understands at this point that there is. 76 is kind of dying off, right? They're not releasing as much content for it anymore. That means there's another Fallout game coming in the next few years, right? But they're not saying anything about it. And that's where I think CD Projekt Red, who has spoken about Cyberpunk a lot of times, and specifically within the last 18 months, they've talked about it a lot. They did that kind of wrong. They knew what the PlayStation version was, what the PlayStation 4 version was like. Two years ago, and they didn't have the option to do anything with it or whatever, right? They needed to be a little bit more quiet about it, and I think they're not as big of a developer as what Rockstar is, obviously, so they need probably more crowdfunding from the pre-orders and this and that, but yeah, they messed up here. And I think another delay would have actually proved me wrong in my idea of a delayed games is a bad game. But I'm pretty right on this one.
I won't even say first sign of something bad to come, but one of many signs is when they gag order IGN and say, no, you can't show any of the demo stuff you played. This is a thing that happened. They're like, you have to play our demo reels that we're sending to you. Right then and there. But then it's like the trades too. Who do you trust? You can't trust people who are doing reviews. I won't say you can't trust all of them, but some of them, like obviously IGN their IGN, but at some point, someone's got to have some integrity, journalistic quote unquote integrity, to say, hey, we're not officially back in this game. They won't let us show you any of the demos that of us actually playing the game. And then I thought it was weird how hard they were coming at the streamers, but I was like, all right, I guess this is par for the course. They're like, don't you dare, stream this.
It's a street date thing. You can't break the street date. But I mean, they try to get out of the head of the curve of bad PR, and it kind of bit them. They released a statement.
Let me hear it.
Listen, I'm not going to read the entire statement because it's like 3 paragraphs long, but it's pretty much like the too long didn't read is like, hey, we knew we had a buggy game. Sorry. Like, if you've ever seen the South Park episode about the BP oil spill and the guy's like, we're sorry. And it just cuts to him doing that like 5 or 6 different times in different ways in different places. That's exactly what happened here. They're like, hey, we want everyone to be satisfied with the product. So, give us some time. Big patch is coming out in January and February. And it's like, we don't care. Fuck you.
If you had that type of patience with product in any other situation. Imagine if they brought you your food at a restaurant. They're like, we know that first bite wasn't good. You come back in 20 days, though.
Hey, we know we didn't give you your French fries that were on the list of shit that you were going to get with this burger. But you come back in a week, my friend, and we'll have French fries. And you better fucking pay again. If you don't pay again, we're going to kick you out. And we're going to have those fries. And they're going to be pretty good.
Dude, I seen such a just depressing report today. These people sitting outside in the city eating their food, and someone drove by in a truck and just puddled them. It was
no. All right. The guy in the truck deserves to be shot.
I was like, who feels worse? The guy who saved up his money to buy Cyberpunk for PlayStation 4, because there's a reason. I understand it. I'm right there with you. If you're still playing on last gen console,
no, there's not a reason. The consoles are hard to get. Let's be fair, right?
There's a reason. There's an absolute reason. That's the reason right there. They're hard to get. And then there are some people who are like, yeah, I'm not paying that. What is it? $4.99,
$500, whatever.
For the Blu-ray, and then $3.99 for the digital, especially since now some people are having some interesting issues with their digital PS5s. I'm not paying that right now. I get that. I'm right there with you, even though I'm going to try again 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, like the simp that I am. I'm just going to try to get, they're releasing. No, they're not releasing anything.
The show won't come out until after that anyway.
Perfect. But I get it, man. It's just, I'm gonna harp on it though, man. Who feels worse? Those people that got drenched sitting there eating
the
their
drenched
food
people,
or the people?
No, the drenched people. The drenched people.
You think so? The drenched people they look pretty.
Yeah, it ruins the clothes. It ruins the fucking food. It ruins the entire atmosphere of the meal. Right? Half the fun of going out to dinner is like hanging out with people, and that ruins. If I get involuntarily wet, like if I'm out of place and I get rained on, I'm just angry for the rest of whenever until I can get out of wet clothes.
That's nature rain, though. Imagine New York City gutter water.
That's even worse. That was like bare minimum. But like, dude, if that happens, first of all, that motherfucker in the truck, I'm getting your license plate and we're finding out where you live. Second of all, I am so fucking mad from that point. Like, I don't even want new food. Like, don't even offer me new food. Like, I'm leaving. Like, here's your here's your $85 because it's a meal in New York City. Let's be fair.
They're not offering you anything in Manhattan. They're like, sorry.
That was your issue for sitting there. It's like, we offered you a splash guard and you told me to go fuck myself. So,
dude, I hope the vaccine has more support than Cyberpunk. I really do. I hope we get more updates and stuff.
Yeah, I hope IGN gives it a better than a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, keep it going. If you're in the chat or if you watch the recap on this and you're playing it elsewhere,
it's not a recap. It's the show. It's the show.
It's the show. The show. If you're watching the show later, let us know what you expect.
Dude, it's so insane that I would listen. If you ever need buying advice, come to me. Come to me. I was right on this one. This one was a wait. This one is definitely a wait. It's going to be a fantastic game in 6 months' time. And I'm sure in between now and then, it'll go on sale. So, listen, this one was a wait. Just come to me. Just come to me with your video game buying needs. I got you.
Don't do that. Don't do that. It just makes him more insufferable. Like the more you come to him with advice, pretty soon he'll be coming on the show with a cape on, a little crown, like, yes, I'm here to approve all consumers today. Just don't do it.
No
I told
iPhone is a no.
yeah, we'll talk about that another time. Oh, did you see the new AirPod headphones? The new over the air AirPod Max or whatever they're
No,
called.
that's so dumb.
Five, great technology.
Is Apple trying to kill Beats?
No, they're not trying to kill Beats. They're trying to compete in a realm that's very. So what they did is they released.
They're competing against themselves. They're competing against themselves.
No, they're trying to compete with Technica and stuff like that. I didn't want to go into this because it's like, and what they're doing is very underhanded, but it's pretty interesting. So your best high end, if you're an audiophile type of person, $1,000. So people can justify spending $1,000 on headphones if they're that type of person. What Apple is essentially trying to do is undercut that market by saying, hey, we use the same materials, but you can get these for $500. But the problem is it's marketed to your everyday person. They're like,
yeah,
you mean they're $500?
Here's the other issue, right? Because then from then you can go to a $250 or $300 Sennheiser and get a better experience.
Dude, you can get $249 wireless Sony headphones.
That are fantastic. That are fantastic.
Amazing. If you're, listen, first of all, I need to know your audio needs, right? Like you would have to explain to me why you're spending $500. If you've already convinced to spend that money on Apple products, then just say that I'm an Apple product type of person and I spend my money where I like. But don't try to make the debate that these have better sound quality than other headphones.
Don't do that. And a wireless headphone will never have good sound quality, right? Unless you have it's gotten better, but it's still Bluetooth, right? Yeah. You're not getting full quality out of it. You need like, what is it, like a DAC or whatever? Like you need like a preamp. Like you need stuff, right? You need power. It doesn't have make power to drive the headphones. Like real legit headphones take a legitimate amount of power to make the driver work, right? Like,
yeah. Westchester Mall, I think, no, White Plains Mall, whatever the mall is, they have an interesting audio fidelity store in there, and the starting range for analog, so that's plug-in headphones, is $900. That's on the low end with the materials that they use, right? With the copper and stuff like that they use. I put on their demo set just to listen to whatever generic music they had, and I'm telling you, the clarity.
Yeah, some people say like when they first experience those kind of headphones, it's like it almost brings you to tears. Yeah, right. Actually, Hotel California by the Eagles, I think, is a song that people use for that because of the way that they did the mastering or something, that it's like the mastering is near perfect or something. I've heard that in many different ways, and people are moved to tears with how good the quality is.
So it's that song, it's Purple Haze, and also the Who Rain on Me. Like if you listen to the remaster, or even maybe even a remastered Beatles song, Across the Universe, sounds amazing. You know what's another artist that makes music for great headphones? Bjork. If you're a Bjork fan and you get the chance to listen to some Bjork on some really expensive headphones, you're going to be transported away. But who's not going to be there? The people who bought Cyberpunk and those poor bastards in Manhattan that got the water all over their food. Like, they fall just short of that. I'm sorry. I know Shane's enjoying it, dude. What else we got? What do you got, Big? You're right. This is spicy, man. I'm feeling
some good topics, man. I have some good topics. I feel like we should stay in the video game territory and talk about the fact that EA and Take-Two Interactive are in a absolute fucking bidding war right now over the company that makes Dirt, F1, and some other and Project Cars, over that company. And like EA was like gonna outbid Take-Two. Take-Two is the parent company for Rockstar. EA was gonna outbid them by a full $1 billion. For I forget what the name of the company is, Cyberworks or something. They're in a full-on bidding war, dude.
Wait. Over what? What are they spending $1 billion on?
This company, Codemasters.
Okay.
The company is Codemasters. They're the people who make the dirt games, the rally racing games, Ken Block rally racing games. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not. They're very fun. They're very good. The F1 racing games and the Project Cars games. So these are the people who do driving games, right? Very, very high end, like almost sim level driving games. Project Cars is very much so a sim. So yeah, they're in an absolute bidding war over this company. Now,
And
for me, for Rockstar, for Take-Two, for Rockstar, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense because they can integrate that level of driving into Grand Theft Auto. It is literally the greatest racing game ever made. Like, that's just what it is, right? Grand Theft Auto 5 right now is the best racing game on the market. And it's not even close in my opinion.
Really?
It's the most competitive, it's the most fair, like it's fun, there's so much variety to it. I don't even know, there's probably 1,000 different or 1,500 different cars in the game now. Like, there is so much variety in that.
Number one, what's number two?
I don't know, a Forza maybe.
Okay.
Like an actual racing game, right? Like that's my opinion. Like, for as far as fun and competitive racing goes, Grand Theft Auto is the best right now.
So they're in the bidding war. Last bid was at $1 billion.
No, it was $1 billion more than what the Take-Two Interactive bid was. So they had agreed to sell the Take-Two June or July of this year, and obviously, you know, once someone agrees, that doesn't happen immediately. There's a lot of lawyers involved and finalizing numbers and such. And EA stepped in and was like, "We'll give you $1 billion more," and it's like, what the fuck is going on?
What the hell was the original bid?
Let's see if I can find it.
So yeah, I gotta admit, I don't know anything about this, but when I saw EA and you just said they said $1 billion more, it makes me think of things like, man, I've heard so many people hate on this company. I've heard so many people bring it to
So the original bid was $200 million, and EA came in with a $1.2 billion bid.
Dude, fire that bidder. Come on, at least go. We go $1 million more though, like, right?
And apparently it sold. Apparently, obviously, like, if one was coming in at not that much and one comes in with $1 billion extra, like, hell yeah, you know,
give it to him right now. Take it.
But my only thought is what does EA have to gain from this? Like, where is it is about sending a message. I agree, Shane. But where is EA in here that, like, where is there a game that they could use this for? Obviously, it's EA F1 now, right? And they have all the sports games, and it's EA Project Cars, and it's EA this, and it's EA that. But where are they adding this? I guess they have Need for Speed, right? EA is EA published Need for Speed. So I guess they could do a good Need for Speed after the last 57 years. Oh, they did Grid too. Codemasters did Grid. Grid was a fantastic racing game. Yeah, exactly. Where's Skate 4? You know, where or why can they add this to their portfolio or add it to something that they already have that makes their development better? And that's where I was confused about it, especially to spend that kind of money. You know, Rockstar for me makes a lot of sense. They have IPs that they could add that to. EA have Need for Speed, but they kind of Need for Speed already has a style, you know, and to go the opposite direction with that would be confusing, but I could see it.
I mean, maybe they should have dumped some money into Need for Speed, the movie, if they had this type of capital just laying around.
EA is worth a lot. EA has a lot of money. It has a lot of money, dude. You gotta remember, EA has FIFA and Madden. You know,
good point.
Incredibly well-selling games. You know.
Have you ever tried to explain to a Madden fan that maybe the latest Madden isn't that great? It could get
Madden 14 is the best one. Actually, it might be Madden 12. Whatever one had Marshawn Lynch on the cover was the best one.
Dude, I wish I could take Marshawn Lynch out for a drink, man. He just seems like the type of guy.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
That's one of my favorite quotes of all time.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. I love the fact that he got into an argument with a football mom, and he's like, is your husband with you right now? She's like, why? He's like, because I'm not going to address you any further. I'm like, Marshawn Lynch, he's the man. I don't know where you go from there with this, though, for EA, right? So $1 billion could have gone a long way to Battlefront. $1 billion could have gone a long way for a lot of other games to get people the product they wanted.
Battlefield, Skate 4. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things. Now, here's the issue. Take-Two hasn't come back yet. Take-Two as a parent company, obviously with Grand Theft Auto 5 as their flagship game, has a boatload of money. Grand Theft Auto 5 turns over more than $1 billion a year, right? Where are we? You know, are they coming in with a $1.3 billion bid? You know what's going to happen? Is there a bidding war? Is Codemasters dedicated to go to EA? Right? Is that where they want to be? No one wants to be under EA. You know, what's the deal there? Ultimately, where are they going to end up? It's interesting. I thought it was a fun little side topic.
No, absolutely. I just can't believe what's going on in the world, man. People are dying in the streets. No one's dying in the streets. People are starving around the world, and EA spent $1 billion on something that I'm not entirely
How much money
sure
did fucking Microsoft just spend on Bethesda?
That was but think about what they got with Bethesda. How many they got so many more properties out of that buy. Just think about
some of the best selling properties of all time, too. To be completely
I
honest.
mean, true. We don't have anything rolling out anytime soon, but it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better any day now.
They sell Skyrim on everything that you can imagine. You could play Skyrim on your smart fridge.
Can I play it on my Google Stadia?
Yeah, this is probably one of the 3 games that you can play on it. You could play it on your Amazon Alexa.
Can I play it on my Chromecast though?
Yes.
I need to get a new Chromecast. Did I tell you this, man? Old Betsy finally took a crap.
Really? Mine's going strong.
Let me borrow yours.
I'm using mine actively.
You don't turn that TV on.
Dude, I've been using this TV every day. I've been watching South Park on it. Yeah, since you shamed me about it. I've been watching South Park on it. It's actually really straining my eyes. I'm going to switch back to the laptop soon. I have to wear my glasses in bed. I can't see the fucking TV.
I tried to watch South Park, the first episode of season 10, but my finger went to Bob's Burger instead. And it wasn't because I didn't want to watch it. It's just like I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna have the chance to watch Bob's Burger again. So I went there instead.
What do you mean?
What?
Bob's Burger's awful compared to South Park.
Bob's Burger is life, man. It is absolute.
Bob's Burger is a bottom 5 cartoon television show in the adult category.
What's your top? So obviously South Park. Then number 2 would be
Family Guy, Futurama, American Dad.
So you're not a Rick and Morty guy?
I was for the first 2 seasons. Rick and Morty was incredible for the first 2 seasons. Season 3 was so bad that I haven't watched season 4 yet. That's why it can't be up there.
Whenever those 2 come into the school now, I can't not unhear it. I can't unhear that. When they come, you know exactly.
Brickleberry is better than fucking Bob's Burger.
Bob's Burger is the shit, Shane, and you know it, man. It's freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. I won't hear anything about it. Perfect thing to fall asleep to. I really want to get to number 6. Can we go here? Because I've been waiting. Since I looked at the list earlier today, this has been on my mind because I've sent this same article to so many people, and I've got a mixed bag of reactions from people. But you and Mantis share the same worldview on this, so I'm really interested.
I don't know why aliens has to be a worldview and not just like a smart person view, but okay.
What was that?
What? No. Please lay out the rest of this topic. I do ever so appreciate that.
No, so what's going on? We got little green people. They've been confirmed by the Prime Minister of Israel. Is that what's happening here?
Not the Prime Minister. The guy was the head of space. I was just gonna go on the head of space. They call him the space security chief. I don't like that one. I don't like SSC as an abbreviation.
Right. This is good, right? Do you know how happy it would make me if there are really aliens, right? And they're sitting up there high in the atmosphere, monitoring everything that's going on, and the first thing they see when they start monitoring is Donald Trump. They're not coming down here.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So basically what he said is that the aliens have been in contact with both Israel and the U.S. government for a very long time, that there is a galactic federation, and that the general population of Earth could not handle the fact that there are aliens. We're just not ready. We're just big old dum-dums in fucking meat sacks. And I agree. I agree.
Look, people panic. I'm telling you, first few days of COVID, Sam's Club, people were stealing food out of each other's
Yeah.
freaking carts. You know how they're gonna react if they're an alien? So there was something else that came up. Obviously, I gotta go check all the trusted sources. You know, Alex Jones, Ross Perot, Ben Shapiro. Gotta go see what these guys are saying about this topic. But I want to believe, man. I want to believe. I just need a few things cleared up for me, right? Why Israel? Of all the superpowers on this planet, why the one place that's always an inch away from getting nuked off the face of the earth? And I'm not saying that you have to answer that, but just logically.
Here's my thought. It's probably the location of where they are.
Okay.
If you believe any of the history of what aliens might have been or might have been a part of, they're kind of right in that area. And they seem to be probably the most well-developed country in that area. So to me, it would make sense. Right. But I'm grasping at straws to come up with an answer for that.
So what, did they just look at Ireland and they were like,
no,
nah.
But in theory, right? If the aliens had come down and helped build the pyramids, they're already in that sector and they're familiar with that sector of Earth, right? So if they go there and they're like, all right, well, what's the most well-developed looking nation over here? Right, everyone else around them is constantly in war, right? And then they're like, oh well, fuck, these guys have a walled-in entire nation, and we're gonna visit them. You know, that's me. I'm like, bro, I'm looking at all the ants, and I'm like, these two ant colonies here fucking with each other. This one, I'm gonna go fuck with that one, right? The one that's off on the side.
They look at Abu Dhabi and they're like, these two ant colonies over here, horrible. We'll stop there later to get drinks, but we're dealing with these guys for business. So here's the crazy thing about this whole situation, if I can be serious about it. So we put it on there. I went around, I looked up just to see what the major trades are reported. This has been reported on by a few other major trades. Now, it's in the back of the paper for sure. But they actually are reporting on it. And this is actually something that's catching more and more traction. And a lot of people are starting to feel validated. So there are people who've been completely ostracized from their families, right? You got the alien chasers. Are you aware of these guys?
Yeah, the fucking the Bigfoot community of aliens.
Yeah. They don't like that. They don't like being compared to Bigfoot.
No, they're Bigfoot people. They're Bigfoot people. They're the Bigfoot people of aliens, right?
Wait.
Listen. If these people had ever used
at the screen, just know that this is a view that Zach shares. Please don't show up to my house with your suits on and your weird little gloves. We like you guys. I think it's a good thing to dedicate your life to. Go ahead, Zach.
Bigfoot or aliens? The alien people I'm on board with. No, here's the issue, right? When people are obsessed with anything, it's off-putting. Right. Extremists on any side, right? Yeah. Religious extremists, like, people who are only into like certain things, like car extremists, like fucking everything. Yeah. Those people, like the fringe people, are always strange, no matter what topic you're in, right? The fucking the Buffalo Bills fans are the fringe fans of the NFL. We kind of keep them in their bubble.
Shots fired, man. Shots fired.
Have you ever seen tailgating footage from the Buffalo Bills?
I try not to watch it because
they're fringe people. Exactly. We're not gonna fucking talk about those freaks. But so this guy has a legitimate title in a legitimate position in a legitimate world superpower, right? Now he's aging out. There are some conspiracies as to why this guy came out and said this at this moment. Have you heard recently about the Iranian nuclear scientist who had been assassinated?
It's actually
by the unmanned gun, potentially from Israel.
Yes.
This is a cover-up story for that. As much as I want to believe the Galactic Federation is out there and they're watching me right now and they're going to choose me to come up and fucking chill and play on the PlayStation 7, listen, I want to believe all of that, and part of me does, right? I do believe aliens exist. I don't know how much about the fucking Galactic Federation with the space station on Mars that we're sharing.
Space Force.
No, Space Force is real. Space Force is real. Space Force was a very good television show with Steve Carell. Leave that alone, okay? I've never seen the show. I just know that it exists.
It's hilarious.
But this is a cover-up story for that assassination, in my opinion. I'm not the only person who shares this opinion. I
Yeah.
think people who have heard about the assassination kind of know, but
Did you hear about the Putin thing?
No, I didn't hear about the Putin thing. Oh, fucking inform me.
I don't want the channel to get pulled down because I know a few other people.
Listen, this is
got pulled
buried
out.
so deep in YouTube algorithms don't even apply anymore.
So apparently, I don't know. I got to get the story correct. Someone either tried to or there was a plot to poison Putin, and they believe.
Yeah,
Hold on for a second.
Putin made that shit up.
The only reason it made the trades or even made it TV, they think it's somehow tied to the situation that happened with the guy, the Iranian scientist. And they think it's a. So when I say they, obviously this is the trades. What people like to refer to as the lamestream media nowadays, whatever you choose to call them. They believe it's some type of plot to destabilize the world powers. And I just can't get to the bottom of that. Now, the whole thing with the Iranian scientists, that was about slowing down what we know they're doing over there.
Correct.
Now, I'm not taking any credit for that, but that is 100% what's happening, dude. Like it's 100% to slow down their nuclear program. It's entirely to help destabilize that region. And I have my own opinion.
Not even to destabilize it, to keep it destabilized, right?
100%. I have my own opinions on it. I've expressed them to Zach off air before. And if we do another conspiracy theory episode, I will express them again, man. There is a vested interest in keeping that region of the world in constant disarray for obvious reasons, man. But that would make sense if it was aliens doing it. Just follow me down this little path here, man. If I if I was an alien, I seen how dependent every other country was on this region for one resource, I'm like, oh, they got to go. Even though I know, yes, we can get our oil from Alaska and all those things, but we don't do it.
And Russia produces more oil than anybody.
Yeah. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if I was an alien, that's what I would be up to. I would be looking at these situations. Now, I don't know what I would be making of France if I was an alien. I would be trying to figure them out.
Yeah, why are they so into bread? Like, this shit is like the aliens are looking down. They're like, how do they not know that bread is what causes cancer? Dude, you know how depressed I would be if that was
the feed drops. It means the aliens know that we're onto them, folks. But it's strange, man. It's strange the things that happen, and this is not a conspiracy theory episode, but like it's strange the things that happen that there's no response. So let's just follow the timeline. We had the reporter who died at the hands of brutal death. And,
well, the guy who got chopped up, that was like 4 years ago now, wasn't it?
4 years ago, right? There's been no retaliation. Nothing in the UN has done. Nothing
they will do. They won't do anything about it.
It's amazing to me that we backed out of the Iranian deal. Now we're backing back into it any day now. This happens. I can go on for hours and hours. And I could believe the little green men. I'm not trying to disparage the view of aliens.
How do you know that they're green?
Huh? Because I'm a racist. I assume
that they're gray. No, I think the stereotype now is switched to that they're gray. Right? You're thinking of Marvin the Martian, the little green guy.
He had a green hat. He was like midnight black, that dude. He had no pigment at all.
Whatever. This is close enough. I thought he was green. But no, I think the common thought now is that they're gray.
They're still humanoid though, right? We're still talking about
I think they're kind of like very thin, slender flesh sacks. I don't know if I wouldn't consider them humanoid. Bipedal for sure, right? On two legs.
So here's the crazy thing, right, man? If it's not aliens and we have to look at that footage of those aircrafts that was just declassified, those UFOs, if that's not an alien ship, then I'm really worried if I'm a fighter.
Yeah, right? Like, they're like, what the fuck is happening?
Why are these things happening? I think this is probably the biggest lead this community's gotten thus far. I think we're going to see a lot more stuff this way.
Other than the fucking Pentagon declassifying the UFO stuff.
But see, no one trusts the Pentagon anymore, right? Because whenever they do something willfully, think about it, we think that they're just trying to throw us off. They always release that type of information when it's like, hey, shouldn't we be paying attention to what the madman's doing right now? Or the other madmen, or all the mad people that are in the Senate and the Congress? They're like, oh yeah, there's aliens. Like, they do that type of stuff just to throw you off, man.
I fuck with aliens, man. I like the idea. I like the idea of aliens. I think it's fun.
I think it's really fun, man. I wish we can get Alex Jones on the show, man.
Like, we can't though. We couldn't. We can't put him on YouTube.
We can get Mantis. He's like the next best thing, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
Sorry, Mantis. We love you over here, man. What else is going on with aliens in the world? There was something else. The Daily Mail report. They're a trusted trade. They reported some alien sightings. Not trusted?
I don't think I think the Daily Mail is like UK tabloids, isn't it? They're the same. They're the same people who just beat Johnny Depp in a defamation case.
Oh, that poor bastard, man.
Yeah, the $14,000 a wine a month bastard, right?
So the crazy thing, one more thing, because you did make a really good point.
Or it's $140,000 a wine a month, I think.
I can't. It's amazing that she got away with it, and she still. If I was Johnny, man, I'm not justifying anything. I'm not excusing it, but this is one of those things where you say, I understand. Right.
This is right here. Listen, this right here is a very clear lesson of don't stick your dick in crazy.
Oof. You went there.
And that's where we are.
You're a young man, I'm talking to you, young man. The person listening to this on Saturday, tomorrow, what you're about to do is going to ruin your life. Just stop now. Go home, rub one out, and be done with it. Just break up with her. She's not going to call you back. That guy that she said was just her friend, that's not her friend, bro.
Not her friend.
It's not her friend.
That trainer that she's seeing to work out, there's only one thing getting worked out, and we're not going to speak of it because it's disgusting.
Yeah, she's hanging out with little green people and long gray ones, all at the same time. This has been a great show, man.
This is definitely a Friday show. This is definitely a Friday show.
Bellator could use some help.
Actually, yeah, they just picked up an alien fucking named Yoel Romero. Bellator has officially become the UFC retirement home. I know it's been a joke for a long time. They just picked up 3 prominent UFC names. Well, I'm giving Corey Anderson a lot of credit there. Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting. Rumble Johnson versus Yoel Romero.
So here's what we got, right? We got Clarissa. This is when the world turns upside down. Clarissa Shields went to PFL. We got Rumble Johnson going over the Bellator. Now he's the most interesting case because even though he did lose his last 2 fights in the UFC, both to a champion, he didn't. They weren't back to back, but he lost to DC twice, and his last fight was supposed to be his retiring fight. I think Rumble's a really good sign for them to beef up their light heavyweight division. I suspect that he's only going to fight at light heavyweight.
Listen,
once.
He won 3 fights. He lost to DC, won 3, and then lost to DC again.
DC. Yeah, he's still a viable buy.
That's not a cut, in my opinion, and it wasn't, as far as I understand. The Anthony Rumble Johnson thing, it wasn't a cut. It was
they couldn't have terms on the contract.
Correct, right? He wanted to renegotiate a contract, and they couldn't. I still think he had fights left on his contract, to be fair, because UFC contracts are in perpetuity, which is super shady and kind of easy to get out of in the court of law. But no one wants to go there because they don't pay their fucking employees or their fighters enough to actually go to court. Right. Yeah, man, it's an interesting one. It is an interesting one.
So I think that he fights at light heavyweight, obviously to fight Yoel, and then he goes up, depending on if he wins that fight or not, he goes up to heavyweight
to fucking smack around Ryan Bader.
Yeah, smack poor Ryan Bader around. Ryan Bader, I think, I'd
retire right now.
They have never fought, and I think there's been
yes, they have. He beat Ryan Bader.
Did he knock him out?
He knocked out Ryan Bader. UFC on Fox. Bader. They were the headline in 2016, January 30th, 2016.
So that means he's beat some of their top contenders already, right? So he beat Phil Davis. He beat Ryan Bader.
Yeah. Well, Ryan Bader's their heavyweight champion.
That's a really bad look. They're just gonna push him into the heavyweight fight, man. I was interested to see what Yoel versus Anthony Rumble Johnson would look like, but the problem with that is I wanted to see Yoel from 3 years ago. Even though Yoel today could walk into most fights and beat most people,
I think, depending on which Yoel shows up, he could beat anybody on the planet. At 85 for sure. And John is the exception, probably at 205. But I don't know how he could beat it. Let's be fair. He could beat Israel Adesanya. He could knock out Israel Adesanya just the same way that Alex Pereira did. If he fought him differently.
Caught him with a clean overhand, and that changed Izzy's approach for the remainder of the fight.
Right, exactly. He could knock out Adesanya. He definitely could. Right. He could. It depends on what Yoel shows up. He's a little gun shy, in my opinion. He's a counterpuncher. He definitely could. He doesn't never uses his wrestling really ever, right? He uses his wrestling enough to keep people on their feet.
Defensive. Last time he actually got into any type of real grappling exchange was against Chris Weidman. He started losing those, as I knew he would against Chris Weidman, because Chris Weidman just changed things changed wrestling better than most people in his division. But then again, he also knocked Chris Weidman's soul out of his body.
Right. That's the issue, right? Is that he's an Olympic level wrestler and has the power of a heavyweight, right?
So I figured out how Bellator makes the transition from second string to beating the UFC. And I think that they have to stop. It has to start. No, they're never. I don't mean beating them on the networks. That fight, they're never going to win. It's not going to happen. But if they want to
integrity.
if they want to compete with them in regards to their roster, especially while the UFC's cutting a bunch of people right now, they need, and I've said this before, if the UFC is not going to do it, you need to be the organization out there actively recruiting.
I think they are. I think they are. I think their roster. Wow, it's a soft R. Their roster is very young. I think they have very, very good prospects.
Yes, they do.
But the issue is that when their prospects get really good, like Michael Chandler, they go to the UFC. Right.
Oh, man, he stopped bringing prospect a long time ago, but you're correct. Also, here's what they need to do. They don't have the man. I love the UFC because it was such a smart move, man. When they came out with Fight Pass, I was like, why are they putting these bum ass? I lost. I didn't make it the whole show. Why are they putting these bums organizations on here? Like there are some that I really respect, but then I was like, oh yeah, feeders. Like they cut some back end deal with these guys for promotion and being televised. Yeah. And they get exclusivity feeder tracks.
100% correct here. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it's so Bellator couldn't get to him.
Yeah.
It's both. It has to be, right? And there's other competition popping up. Rory McDonald's down in the PFL now, right? So like that's a name down in the PFL along with Kayla Harris. One Championship has names now. Like, DJ is going to unify the championship here coming up in February or February, March, whatever it is. Like,
that's been a great move for him, man. Financially, it's been a great move.
Yeah. And when he's done, the One Championship has an esports organization like / side of their company. So he could transition into that. Right. He's Mighty Mouse is signed to a fucking esports organization. Method. Now, albeit a fucking very sketchy one, but he is. Right, like he definitely is. So like that's
4 hours a day from now.
Wow, there's some issues within Method, and they had to entirely redo their organization. So it was a WoW guild, very prominent WoW guild. It was like world first in multiple raids and bosses and multiple achievements, and they had some real sketchy stuff go on, and everyone kind of vacated. So Money Mouse assigned to them. They've restructured, signed a bunch of RuneScape streamers, redid their entire WoW roster. They're doing a thing, but what I'm saying is that he's passionate about that as well as fighting, and that gives him an out and a career path after that as well.
Very true. So the interesting thing about PFL, man, for formerly the World Series of Fighting, I actually like their promoter. I like that the guy's kind of a self-made dude. Clarissa Shields was an interesting sign for them, but I understand.
It's a good sign. It's a very good sign.
It was a good sign. I think they came in a little bit too early for her, to be honest with you.
You think so?
I think she should have gone like King of Cage organization first, like Holly did. Maybe fight some people technically. So it's a bad look, right? So when Holly premiered in MMA, everyone was like, she's a boxing champion. Of course she's going to smoke a bunch of amateur fighters. But
until someone grabs a leg and takes her to the ground.
Exactly. Right? I do think it's a good idea. I mean, I think it's a little early, but I think it was a better sign than Danielle Wolf from the Contender Series.
Yeah, that was bad. That was a really, really bad sign. I agree. I think her MMA striking, even though she is a boxing champion, is still rudimentary, right?
Yeah.
But to be fair, we just saw Chase Hooper over the weekend, who again I think is way too early in his UFC career. And he will phase out of the UFC before I think he really hits his peak. And I love watching the kid fight, right? He's a fantastic fighter. His ground game is incredible. Amazing. But he has no striking. His striking is very, very rudimentary. To the point where he probably needs to go join a boxing gym and fight against amateurs for, the next year to really even try to develop that fundamental skill
Yeah,
to
just move
use his
around.
grappling, right? Because like ultimately what he wants to do is get in close enough to get you to the ground and
Yeah.
win the fight, because that's what's going to happen. But you need good enough striking to recognize what your opponent is trying to do that. And I think at the moment he throws just Hail Marys every single attempt with zero power, and that has worked for him so far because people get tired of punching him and go to the ground with him.
He needs to head down there with Mackenzie Dern. I always forget the guy's name.
Her striking is getting way better.
Yeah,
her striking
it's getting way better.
Is getting way better. Very low
She's
bar.
She's gonna break her arm if she keeps clubbing like that. But it looked a lot better. She's putting together more than one punch at a time. At least she's trying to throw combos. I seen her throw a body shot that was really well timed in that fight. But Huber's another interesting case, man. I think if he goes either to where Mackenzie's at, or he goes to an elevation, the gap obviously is still very wide, but it can close.
His grappling, his jiu-jitsu is strong enough to where he needs just good enough striking, right? He needs Khabib level striking. He needs just good enough striking to set up your main game plan. And
just keep his head off the center line, for God's sake. That's all you got.
I like watching him fight. I really do.
He's a funny kid too.
Yeah, he has a fantastic personality. He is what Sean O'Malley should be. He's a fun personality and not looking like an overall douche.
The goat.
The goat, right.
Sean O'Malley's got some. Wait, I'm gonna circle back because I wanted to get your opinion on something. So the Clarissa Shields down at PFL. Here's what I do like, right? I like the fact that Jackson Wink. A lot of people got a lot of beef with that gym, man, and maybe a lot of people have a lot of good reasons. You know, Cowboy famously said it's a puppy mill for fighters.
Sure.
Obviously, Cub Swanson left. He didn't make it public for whatever reasons. I think he was just looking for more individual one-on-one training. But people have taken issue. Not Demetrius Johnson. What's his name? John Dotson. I don't believe is with them anymore. I think he had some exit words. I'll have to confirm that. I'll have it for you for the next show. But I think her going down there really shows what type of gym it is. The fact that they've rallied around her, man, and also because they know she's never going to fight Holly since she's in the PFL, and they wouldn't even fight in the same weight class anyway. But what
weight class is Clarissa Shields fighting at? Forward?
That's what I wanted your opinion on. I don't know if she's coming in at 140. Where is she at, dude? Who is her first fight? Does she even have a fight lined up, or was this just a signing with promotion behind it? Does anyone know in the comments? Does she have anything lined up? They're not putting up against the judo champion, right?
Yeah, I couldn't think you would do that.
I need to know more about their roster at PFL. I don't mean to disrespect that organization or its fans, but besides the recent signs, I don't know a lot of people over there.
I don't either. Rory, obviously, and Kayla Harris is kind of who I know. And that's pretty much it. You know, like I don't actually know anyone else, I don't think.
You know, I feel bad for her, man, every time we talk about MMA.
What is women's middleweight? That's where she fought in boxing.
Oh, that would be what, 155?
Is that 55? 65.
65.
So she fought at 65. So she'd have to fight at 45. Or Kayla Harris might fight at 55. I don't know.
Shields, it's no slouch. I had to explain to someone the other day. They were like, "Well, who is she?" I'm like, "Dude, she is as legit a boxer."
Is she an Olympic gold medalist?
Yes.
She's young too. She's 25. She's
very, very clean hands.
Sorry, she's a two-time Olympic gold medalist, 2012 and 2016, and probably would have been again this year. Is boxing? Wait, did they take boxing out of the Olympics?
No, but they did. They got rid of some weight classes in the Olympic boxing, which is some more BS. There's a whole thing. We could do a whole episode on the way Americans. I don't care. I don't care if there are any Canadians watching this show right now, but the Americans, we always get screwed in Olympic boxing. It's a fact, dude. It's a historical fact.
All right, we need to not go down this rabbit hole. I feel the passion radiating off of you, and listen, it's making me slightly uncomfortable.
America, man, they're called American fries. No, it's good. Interesting sign all around MMA. UFC is obviously, I think, Zach and I talked about this before it happened. We thought it was weird that they hadn't released their roster. We're on record saying this. Now they're doing the cuts. you know,
Yeah,
poor
60 cuts. 60 cuts. Rachel Ostovich is gone, which I think was which is an appropriate cut. Yoel, he's lost a lot of fights. I understand his agent lost a lot of fights. Got rid of Rumble, got rid of Corey Anderson was a few months ago.
Yeah.
I'm curious on who they go with next. I don't think we'll know any of the rest of the names, in my opinion.
I think Yoel is going to be on there. I think Chris Weidman.
Yoel's already gone.
Not Yoel. I mean, Jacare. I think Jacare is going to be on there.
Good chance. Good chance.
Depending on Chris Weidman's next showing, even though I think
Diego Sanchez
is on his way out, man. Me and Cash were talking about this. There's a good chance that Robbie Lawler, depending on his showings, man, and only because he's been with the organization for so long, right?
For a long
then obviously
time.
You got to start cutting some of these people that, you know, let's be frank, that nobody knows, right? Right. You got guys fighting or not fighting who are still active on their roster, and that's why I thought it was weird that they didn't release the roster, dude. I think the last guy that Connor beat before he went to go fight Chad Mendez, the German guy, I think technically he's still an active fighter on the UFC's roster.
Yeah,
and
I'm not sure.
But this all boils down to how's Bellator going to play this. So in my personal opinion, they cannot pick up any more fighters from the UFC who are cut. I say spend more time going to the other smaller organizations. Grab those guys up, man. Or if you're going to bring in fighters from the UFC, let's get the tournament going again, man. You know, make them fight for the contract. Luke Thomas was just talking about this. Don't work so hard to get away from the branding that Bellator has worked so hard to get away from to fall right back into it. I know we want to see these people fight somewhere, but pick up a fighter on a 4-fight skid that isn't Yoel. Did you even know there was a Bellator card this week?
No.
Yes, exactly.
No. Dennis Siver, the German guy you're talking about, is not in the UFC anymore and has fought outside of the UFC.
Thank God. Poor guy. He took all the steroids before that fight and still lost. I feel so bad for him, man.
Do you?
I do. I mean, you spend a lot of money on steroids, right? It's not cheap.
No, I think steroids are pretty cheap. I think getting them is hard, but I think they're fairly cheap.
Ask Chad Mendez if they helped in the fight at all.
No, they didn't. They probably gave him better cardio.
Dude, could you imagine if they cut Frankie Edgar? I know they're not going to, but imagine if we saw more big names like that. Now, if Bellator wants to pick Frankie up, I believe that will rejuvenate their 155, their 145,
their 135, and potentially even a 125 division.
Like Frankie, you want to talk about company men? Frankie's good across the board.
Frankie won his last fight. Let's be fair. Frankie won his last fight, beat Pedro Munoz.
Great fight.
In my opinion, if your last 3 fights are Max Holloway for a title, Chan Sung Jung, Korean Zombie, who is who is right there on title door, and then you beat Pedro Munoz going down a weight, you don't get caught. You don't get caught.
I would really like to see if they're going to bring Dillashaw back. For me, the fight to make is Frankie versus Dillashaw.
Really?
That's it. You don't give this dude a championship fight unless he earns it.
Give him Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, I'll run it back on that one too, man. You know who looked really good, and that wouldn't be mine if he signed a deal with Bellator to end his career, was Cub Swanson. I got a lot of respect for Cub.
Really good. We talked about this on the live stream. Cub looked very, very good.
Man, and for him, I would like for him to get that $1 million contract or at least the high 100,000s before his career.
Yeah, you want him to have career money. Right. Yeah. That's what you want. I agree. I love watching a Cub Swanson fight. It's very, very
clean,
good.
Right? He looked
very good. He looked very good. But again, we talked about this a lot in the live stream with Steve in the chat. I don't remember a time that Cub Swanson showed up and didn't look ready.
Yeah. God rest his soul. My former coach, Alex Nitro, took a picture with Cub Swanson, and the one thing he said in that about that picture was he was really cool, man. I could tell. I could tell. Last thing I want to say about the Bellator signing thing, I think it's time for Scott.
You don't like Scott Coker. You really dislike Scott Coker.
I don't dislike him. I dislike useless promoters, man. I dislike yes men. He's not running that place. I don't know who's running it over there, but someone else is. It's not him, dude.
Listen, you know what? No one needs to run it. Okay, Bellator is doing just fine on what TV station are they on now? Paramount, right?
No, they left Paramount.
They left Paramount.
Dude, Chris Cyborg was streaming the last event from her face on her personal website, and it wasn't even working. She had a link up in Facebook says, "Come to my personal website and you can watch the early prelims for this Bellator event." I clicked on the link and instantly WebRoot started going crazy, and I'm like, I'm out of here.
Here's what I just found out. Steve follows Chris Cyborg on Facebook.
100%. 100%. I need to know what's going on in the MMA world, dude. And it's hard to keep up with these people on Twitter. She never tweets about anything real.
Man, when someone leaves the UFC, I almost consider them dead.
Good point.
Other than Yoel Romero and Anthony Rumble Johnson.
Good point. Good point. Street Beefs, we're still waiting on your call, man.
Dude, we should actually reach out to them. It would be fun.
That would be fun. I will talk about it off air. There's some things I want to say.
Sure, sure.
I love Street Beefs. I love Street Beefs.
Me too.
So this topic here.
This was a fun one. I thought we were going to do this one at the beginning of the show. Apparently this turned into an end of shower, which I'm a little bit surprised about.
Well, that's your fault for picking the other topics, man.
Listen,
I got
Steve,
excited about the other stuff.
Listen. I you're coming to me live from the bubble. It's kind of hard. To get you in and out sometimes. You had the equivalent of a pregnancy scare in 2020.
Yeah. So I've learned a few things this past week, right? Don't take cheese sandwiches from coworkers that pick them up from gas stations, even though no one else apparently got sick. No, I had some really bad GI, which is basically a food bug, food stomach flu.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2020, you start throwing up, you immediately think it's the Rona.
You get quarantined from your family and extended.
Let me tell you how it went down. So we came down the holders from our, the top floor like we normally do.
Yeah, from his palatial estate.
It's not an estate. It's an acre. It's an acreage is what we like to refer to it as. We come down. Oldest one.
His house is so big it has a name.
It does not. We came downstairs to do some school. You're gonna have like a bunch of weirdos looking me up on it. We came downstairs. Got to take the baby down all the way down to the basement so he can watch TV while the other one's doing his own school. I sit the kid down. And I'm like, I don't feel so great.
Wow, that weird metallic taste in my mouth is suddenly.
No, I started smelling like burnt eggs. I'm like, am I about to have a stroke?
No, no, burnt eggs is fine. If you smell burnt eggs, you're good.
Threw up violently. Thought it was the Rona. Got put in a bubble. Now, what happened after that was crazy. My wife, I love her to death. She's not messing around, dude. Like as soon as I texted her, I was like, "Hey, babe, I just threw up. I'm gonna call him, let him know at work." She came.
Did you hear her scream from upstairs?
No, she was like, "Are you serious?" Came down, grabbed the baby. She's like, "Stay right there." Close the door. But dude, shout out to her, man. She took care of me perfectly. She worked so hard to keep me alive. I was down here hallucinating at one point. I could have swore I wasn't gonna say anything about this. I had to check our text messages because I thought I had a full-on conversation with you. At one point, and I was like, did I call him? Was I texting with him? And I look, no text messages. In fact, when you texted me later on that day, like, hey, how you holding up? I thought I'd already texted you and told you.
No, I heard it secondhand. So
I was down here tripping. I'm feeling about 85%.
Oh, okay, you're good.
Yeah, I was at 70% when we started to stream. I got a little fired up. I'm slowly starting to sink down again.
You're fading.
Yeah, nighttime is the worst. But I'm feeling good. Thank you for all the support, for all the people who reached out. Thank you, Zach, man. I know human feelings are a strange thing to you, but
they're alien.
Even just sending the text messages, which was great. You're like, all right, buddy, will you stay up? Yeah. It's been real, Steve. I'm like, thanks, bro. It's been really real. No, that's not what he said.
That's not what I said. It's been real. It's not even in my vernacular.
It was very endearing, man. By the time we got to your stream on Saturday, I I was still waiting on the results. I was actually starting to get very nervous. Like
I told you they weren't going to come in on a Saturday. Let's be fair.
I know,
Those
but
people
I
got to
was
listen to
waiting.
me. I don't know what the deal is. People just got to pay a little bit more attention.
Not that people don't listen to you, Zach. It's just that people don't understand what you're saying because you're screaming at them.
That might be it.
We get into show on that, folks. I'm alive. I got my test results back. I'm negative. I'm as negative as Zach's view of Cyberpunk, and we came full circle. Zach, where can the people find us at, man? This has been
everywhere. Talking with a dad. Just fucking Google it. Put it into your Bing. Put it into your DuckGo.
You won't put it into your Bing or DuckGo.
Put it into your Ask Jeeves. You know, you do all of that, you'll find us. Your favorite social media platforms, you'll find us. We're around. And I think that's it. If you have a Horde guild on Tychondrius, let me know. Join the Discord. Let me know. I am a top 1%er frost mage in the world. I out DPS'd a hunter. Good night.